Never mind. I'll tell you later.
Go ahead.
All right, we're actually now live, everyone. I want to welcome everybody to the E.C.B.R.O. Discovery News broadcast. Tonight we got Claudia Ackley. Did I pronounce that correct? I ask everybody that I get on here. Okay. Richter gave me, a lot of crap for pronouncing his last name wrong the last time I had Richter, on here. So,
oh, no.
And actually, he pronounced my last name wrong, and Ed actually corrected him when they sent me a little message a couple days ago saying hi. And so, yeah, Claudia, I've actually been wanting to get you on here for quite a while.
Thank you.
Because I see stuff you post and stuff. And I know you like watching and following me and Fred and several others, and it's awesome and it's very encouraging on our end. That you watch us and you support what we do, and definitely appreciate that.
Thank you.
Now you're very welcome. Now I contacted you earlier today, and I think you were on a hike to begin with. And then when I talked to you a little later towards midday or so, you were actually getting ready to go out on a little exploration with it was you, Ed Brown, Kirk Brown, and I. You guys found a few things out there today. You want to go and share some of that with us?
Yeah, it was a really neat trip. I actually just went to learn because I've learned from you and Fred, and I want to say so many researchers out there. I'm really honored to. I learned something special about every single researcher out there, and it's been such an awesome experience, and it was a great day. I went out there just to show Kirk my area. He drove about 8 hours just to meet us. So,
wow.
I showed him some experiences I've had there, and it was really neat because every time I go there, I learn something new or I find a new print. So I haven't seen an actual Sasquatch out there, but somebody who's walking with big feet out there, barefoot in the desert with cactus, it's kind of interesting. But the real neat thing was I found a 3-toed print, and it was very unusual. But Kirk was telling me that he believes that it's probably inbred. He said that the ones out there that he's experienced are very aggressive. So he said, be careful if you see one. He's like, if you see one, just turn around slowly and walk away. Okay, so. But it's been a really great experience in that area. Once I've been going alone for a while, but I've had a lot of people tell me don't go alone. Please, don't go alone. So now I bring people with me. And one time I was alone, and I was walking to my car, and there's a Chevron gas station that's right across from where I'm at. So a man saw me with my iPod and my knife, and he said, "Are you hiking out there?" Yeah, I'm hiking out there. And he's like, "Well, better be careful out there." And I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Oh, thanks." And I said, "Why? Animals?" He's like, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of animals out there." And I started talking to him, and he said to me, I was homeless and I've had a drug addiction problem, and he said, "I'm not crazy, but I've experienced some really unusual things in that area, so be really careful when you're there." And I literally felt like I was on candid camera, and I'm looking around going, did somebody set me up here? But I started talking to this gentleman, and he had a German Shepherd dog, and he told me that he's had a lot of, he's seen mountain lions and coyotes and deer and just the average animal out there. But he said one night there was rocks being thrown at his tent, and his German Shepherd was acting really, different, so afraid. So what happened was he said, he goes, "Well, I'm not crazy." And I said, "Of course you're not crazy, And I never judge anybody. I always love listening to everybody's experiences. And he said to me, "There's monkey men out there." And he said, "What I saw that night, I wish I didn't." And he said that night I ended up packing and I left. I've never come back. So he said, "Be really careful out there." But it was really neat to talk to someone who's experienced it, something there, and it was like an honor, and I felt like it was a gift. He was there for a reason when I was there, But and then I'm really honored to say that the Finding Bigfoot show contacted me, and the producers are coming in a couple weeks, and they want me to take them to that area, and they're going to start shooting there in June. And I'm not a big fan of the show. I mean, I appreciate the show a lot, but I love the fact that they have council meetings, and people don't feel threatened or judged to go to a council meeting and say, "You know what? I'm not crazy. I ran into something that exists." And it's nice that people are speaking out, and that's my biggest thing is don't be afraid of speaking out. Because they do it, in my opinion. I mean, I've seen them for myself. They exist. There's no question. So, but
That's yeah, that's awesome. You know, like you're saying, you know, getting here and taking reports from people. I know
yeah,
I don't know how Fred's take on it, but I mean I know when I get people when you start opening up to them and kind of breaking it down, explaining what you do, and all of a sudden they're like they stop you right then and there. I was like, look, all right, look, I believe in Bigfoot. So I'm going to tell you
yeah,
why I believe in Bigfoot, and then they go on and explain either experience or a sighting they possibly had. I mean,
yeah,
some of these things happened recently with me, and I mean, I get tickled pink, you know.
yeah, I do
So
too.
it's a good feeling that they're willing to share that with you because
It
you
is.
learn from it, and then you kind of maybe take and start developing your own little cluster of reports and
Yeah,
something to work with,
it is.
So
It's like I'm not out there to prove anything to anyone. I just want answers for myself. And I've learned, like, not to ever judge. I never was into paranormal. I never thought of Bigfoot or Sasquatch. I was just not, I wasn't into it. I never thought of it. And when I experienced something in Yosemite in 1997, that whole, like, that night changed my life. And that, for years I questioned, what was that? What was that I saw? What was that growl next to our tent? And it, being young, I was insecure, never talked about it. And now that I'm older, have kids, and I'm way older, by the way, I started researching into, like, the Bigfoot stuff. And then I was honored to have an encounter that was amazing with Barbara Shoopy, with Barb and Gabby. So I was with her at that moment. And that when I saw the creature on the tree, I knew for a fact they exist. It was like no question to me. So, and Fred, thank you so much for everything you've taught me. You've been a big part of me learning. So.
I got a lot more.
Oh, good.
Sometimes the saying. I don't care how old somebody gets, but the saying you can't teach a dog a new trick or whatever. Well, there's people. I mean, I find myself and people come up to me, and I kind of find it encouraging, but there's things that everybody I don't want to say like me. I know I've had people come up to me, and it does feel good. I'm not gonna lie, it feels good, and it tells me that maybe I really am doing something right. But I find a way. I get people thinking, and then I actually feel like I've taught people because they said they taught I've taught them. I was like,
Yeah,
that's
you
what I'm
have.
trying to do, but I don't realize it. But I am trying to do that. I share what I learned, but
Yeah.
so
And it's so
yeah.
nice that you guys go out there, and it's away from your families. It's money, it's time, it's danger, and you guys are sharing it with us, and I'm so grateful for that. Because a lot of people take it for granted, like, hey, this is a dumb YouTube. You know what? People take the time to go out there and risk their lives. Like, be grateful. I really appreciate that. So.
Especially where you're at. You got a lot more dangers to be concerned about out west, So I mean, yeah. But yeah, like they told you, never go alone.
I know. I've learned my lesson. I won't go alone anymore. So.
You hear all kinds of crazy stories about women or whatever getting abducted or just gone missing, and
I know.
you don't want to be one of them.
No, I don't want to be one of them. So
go ahead,
I've learned.
It doesn't matter how old you get. I'm almost 60, and I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And whenever you go out, you study. I tell people, when you find a structure, look at it, touch it, observe it, put yourself in that Squatch's foot, and imagine what he's doing. And when you do that and realize, look around, you realize you start seeing a pattern. You just learn something, and that's why I try to tell people, because when they say, "What are you talking about?" The information is right there.
Yeah.
All you got to do is just learn how to decipher it. It doesn't make a difference if you're here on the East Coast or on the West Coast, if you're in the Bahamas, if you're in Cambodia, wherever. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're always learning.
Right.
That's the best tool,
Yeah.
I tell people.
One thing that I learned about your videos. Oh,
what's that?
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I noticed, like, Fred, in your videos, you see, like, the markers, like, all pointing to the right, and you say, like, oh, I can see the path, and you follow it, and then you get responses with it. And I think that's really cool. Like how you see, like, the branches are all broken towards one direction, and you follow that path, and you always have company around you most of the time, you know. Very cool. So, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I've learned that from you too, you and Daniel. So.
Now you take what we teach you, and then throw Ed in on the mix, and you can't go wrong.
Want to say her? Okay, here's Ed. He's gonna say quick hello, shout out.
What's up? How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great, man. Doing great. I'm glad you're able to help her out tonight.
Man, she's teaching me. I'm not teaching her. She's teaching me.
Oh, okay.
She's teaching me, Kirk, man.
No.
She's the expert.
No.
Keep
you know,
talking.
there is no experts in the Bigfoot community except me.
Amen.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that.
Yeah, hey,
Wait a minute.
Just
Wait a minute. Now you sound. Nah, I was gonna make a joking comment, but I don't want no one to take it the wrong way. It was innocent. It was innocent, but I was gonna say. I'm gonna say it anyway, but please don't take it the wrong way.
Oh no,
I was gonna say now you sound like Rick Dyer.
Oh, that hurt! Ow!
That was only a joke, because you know how Rick Dyer.
No, I love jokes. I love it.
Yeah. I had to throw that in there. It just popped up.
Yeah. When you hear someone
as long as I don't
say,
sound like Richter, I'm good.
He might be watching right now, so I don't know.
Oh, he probably is.
yeah.
I love them all. No, I'm just teasing. I believe there's no experts, but I love learning from everybody. You know.
There you go.
So, very cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, you just answered what I'm gonna say, because you know, when people say, "Oh, talk about the experts," there is no experts in Bigfoot, and all it is theories and opinions.
Yes, absolutely. I agree 100%, Fred.
I'm gonna give
because the other thing is that no matter how many people see them or how often they might be seen, that doesn't make you a knowledgeable person because you see them. I mean, and the thing is, you know, like many people have stated and acknowledged that science does not acknowledge them. Therefore, how could anyone be an expert on something that's not existing to science or society? I mean, so I mean, there's very few of us. I mean, if you narrow it down, well, I don't know. I mean, there's very few of us that do know, but then again, there's another side that does know, but they're just not willing to pop up, you know, and reveal that information. But yeah, but till then, you know, there is no experts. But, you know,
there isn't. You know,
no
when I went to Washington State, it's a lot different than California. You know, here we have a lot of buildings and smog, not a lot of open areas, forest areas. But I was absolutely amazed of the fact that I was out there with Barb Shoopy, and I found so many prints, so many signs. And I just thought to myself, how is it these creatures are, like, not meant to exist? You know, it was mind-blowing for me, and I was like, it's crazy, you know, but I don't know, maybe one day in our time I hope that they'll, you know, prove that they exist, so we'll see.
Well, you know, I'm going to throw an invite, and it's out to you. You know, if you ever got time to come out here and join me and Fred out here on the East Coast, I mean...
Thank you.
I mean, we got his area, my area. I mean, there's a wide variety of, you know, areas of camp and research out here. I mean, this time of year, I can't say. I don't know how it is on the West Coast, but I can tell you from the East Coast, because the weather is slowly starting to warm up. The weather's been weird throughout the winter, even now. I mean, we've had rain all week. You know, I'm sure it's like that out there at times. You know, on and off.
Yeah.
But you know, the activity's starting to brew up. You know, and
it is.
It's this time of year. It gets crazy, and I love it. I mean, I'm out there as often as possible when time permits, so forth, whatever time and funds permit, I'm out there. And I mean, I'm learning just from last weekend I was out there. I had a nice long weekend last week, and I've had some experiences out there. Found some awesome stuff that, you know, I was excited to find. So
that's good.
And I'm learning that they're, you know, they're starting to come around, because what was there last weekend wasn't there, you know, a month or two ago, you know. So
right.
They're showing up.
Fred, he wasn't going to go up to the woods until April, but he went like early, I guess, and started like seeing activity early this winter. Am I right, Fred?
Yeah.
You weren't expecting to find the activity you found out there earlier. It was pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, I found a. Well, I'll tell you. Let me tell you something that happened yesterday morning. I'm out there turkey hunting, right?
Yeah.
I do my calls and everything. I didn't expect nothing. I get up to leave in about 15 or 20, about 15 feet or so to my right. I mean, to my left. Juvenile squatch stood up and hauled ass. Never knew he was there. He was about 3.5 foot tall and a reddish black color. Looked
Oh.
like you. Looked like you put. Look. It looked like you put TNT up his caboose because he was gone.
What?
But see, he was sitting in plain view. I'm sitting facing 12 o'clock. He's at my 9 o'clock, and I never saw him.
Yeah.
That's how. That's how. That's how good they can camouflage themselves.
Yeah.
You
You
know.
know, there's a lot of things that I'm not ashamed to say are weird happen out in the woods, like batteries drained when they were like fully charged, and I'm like, I'm not ashamed of expressing like what I saw and with my own eyes, you know, just a lot of odd things that happen, and I always question myself, am I ever? I don't know if the answers are ever going to be, you know, told, but I always ask myself, like, they never go in front of a game cam. I mean, usually. And I wonder, like, how do they know what a game camera is? How do they know what cameras are? You know, and it's
That's a
just,
good
do they see
question.
the IR light or, you know,
That's
what
a
is
good
it?
question.
But
Yeah, that's
there's
a good.
just,
That's a real good question. You know, because the only person that I've ever seen that ever had a squatch in front of the camera was Scott Carpenter.
yeah,
That was he had it 9 foot up in a tree,
yeah,
and it is actually he said he had it in a protective box, you know, to keep him from tearing the stuff up or something.
yeah,
And it's actually got the squatch licking the camera. You can see his tongue, you can see his eyes, his
yeah,
ear, his nose, you know, and everything. He looked, but the way he looked and the way he was acting, it looked like he had Down syndrome or something, you know. Because he tried to, you could see the camera moving and everything. It was,
right.
but you know, that was kind of weird about it, you know. But that is a good question. I've always thought about that. I've never thought about it that way to a point, but yeah, how do they know what a camera is?
How do they know? And I always
I mean,
wonder,
it's a
like,
possibility.
yeah,
I've had my camcorder on the ground, and I had, you know, little compact mirrors, you know, the girls carry to powder their face. I had a couple of them sitting in front of it, facing behind it, you know, while I'm watching in front. And you could hear something run down the ridge and then start walking. Then he gets right up to it, you know, so you can barely hear crunch. Then you hear tap, tap, tap,
right.
and then you don't hear another thing. Now, and that's like you said. How do they know what a camera is?
Yeah.
I don't know. I cannot answer that question. If
Well,
they
you know what's
can,
interesting is, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
oh, that's
Sorry.
all right.
Not only with like cameras, but like I've had like, you know, Barb Shoopy's recorders were turned off. You hear like crunch crunch bipedal steps. You hear them
Yeah.
like hold on to the and then you hear it turn off. And I've had friends that have had recorders out there and like the battery goes dead. There's nothing on there. So today I went and I took a recorder out in my area. I just want to see if I can hear anything, you know. But it's
Yeah,
just interesting.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Well, find a
That is
good,
weird. I mean, that things like that happen.
yeah, find a
But yeah. Go ahead, Fred.
find a good spot that you know that no one else is going to go in there, and set your and just lay your auto recorder down. You know, kind of camouflage, you know, to where you know it's at, and leave it
yeah,
out there. Leave it out there for 24 hours and
yeah,
see what you get.
yeah. We
That's
found
what,
a good spot for it.
yeah,
So we'll see what happens. I'll have to share it with you guys once I get it back. So
It's there now.
it's
Okay.
there now, recording. We'll see what happens.
yeah. Because I would
Yeah, I
So
love.
got my audio recorder out in the woods. It's been out there since last Saturday. I'm going to find out tomorrow. I mean,
yeah,
I'm going to be out there probably about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning getting set up for turkey hunting. Then
Yeah,
I'll be setting up
yeah,
my camp for the weekend. So
yeah. Now the difference
yeah,
between my area and Daniel's area, I mean, we're in the same national forest, but we're a couple miles apart. Mine are not that vocal. Out there where he's at, they're very vocal. Like, you know, we heard a baby squatch crying in distress. We heard a barred owl. I mean, a barred owl. Then we heard squatches behind it, and I let out a. I said, let's try this. I went whoop, and about 5 seconds later, a wolf come right back at me.
Yeah.
They're very vocal out his way. It's kind of weird, but yeah, the ones out there in his area are very vocal, very vocal.
Because like some are really quiet, I've understood, but how far apart is your area from Fred's?
I'm about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
45 minutes out west. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because actually, there's been a few areas in the general area. I mean, I have one area. It's a very large area, and this is how I explain to people what I do out there. There's certain sections of the woods out there. I kind of work in zones, and there's one or two areas I worked for the longest time because there was activity there. There's encounters and things that we've experienced there. Right now, where I've been working, I'm in another area. In this area, I started working there for a couple different reasons. One, I had a skeptic up there share something with me. And when he shared that information with me, I had to go investigate for myself. And him being a skeptic is what drew me to go up there because, he always tries to find something logical to explain everything and tries to rule everything out, and like, this couldn't be this. But then he had something happen up there while he camped up there. And I was like, and you know what? Just from the little bit I found and experienced, I knew what happened to him. I knew what ran by his camp at 2 o'clock in the morning. They come in a variety of sizes, but judging from the recent tracks I found, yeah, they're big boys up there.
Yeah.
So,
what's funny is when I was in Washington State, Barb, there was like 15 of us, and we were at the campsite. And then it's funny because we were out there until midnight, 1 in the morning. We did night walks too, but it was weird because the minute we all walk into the tents, we all went to bed at the same time. Within like 10 minutes, you start hearing the most scariest screams I've ever heard in my life. And it was like 5 times in a row one night, and then 6 times in a row the second night. And the funny thing is, I'm like sitting in the middle of the tent as possible, like material tent's gonna protect me from a Sasquatch, But it was amazing. Like it seems like they watch us at the minute they go into the tent. We all go inside is when they become active and curious, So, but I have to say I've heard so many great stories from researchers of aggressive ones and ones that are fun, and it's hard because I think they're like people. There's good and bad. I feel, And
yeah.
There was a researcher that I talked to, and he said that when he was 7 years old, I asked him, "Why are you a researcher? What got you involved in this?" And he said, when I was, I think, 6 or 7, I don't remember what he said, but he said, I got lost from my family. I wandered off the campsite. He said, I was deep in the woods, and I was sobbing. I remember crying, trying to find my place. And he said, out of the blue, this enormous Sasquatch, he said it was a female, grabbed me and dragged me and dragged me. And he said it wasn't like a sweet, here, give me your hand, let me walk you back to your campsite. He said he was dragged. And once she dropped him, and she started whistling really loud. And then at that point, the rescuers started hearing the whistles, and they started coming towards them and found the boy. And, of course, the Sasquatch left. So I love hearing stories, if that's a true story. What a great thing.
Awesome.
It's like, to me, it's like compassion. They have compassion. But then I've heard of missing people, too. I've talked to these, huh?
Yeah, I read about that from somewhere.
Yeah.
It was a story about
it was
a kid
amazing.
went out and got lost, and she said the female just kind of dragged him back to the camp, But what I heard was when he got back to the camp, she took a piece of firewood and set it on his lap so he couldn't move. Or
he
like
didn't. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was a story that I heard,
Yeah.
But it sounded almost exactly the same, I'm like, hey, it's interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a
That's
question.
awesome. That's an awesome story. Yeah.
What is your theory on what do you actually think Sasquatch is, in your opinion? What do you
I've been
think
thinking.
Good question.
I've been talking to people, and I've been asking people, what do you
It's okay.
Sometimes I believe, in the Nephilim. If they're descendants of the Nephilim, are they related to Cain? But they're all evil, supposedly in the Bible. And I don't believe that all the Sasquatch are evil. I don't believe they are. I believe they love their family like we do. We will protect our children from anything that comes to harm. And I believe I don't know. And I think what I saw out in the woods with Barb, in my opinion, what I saw, they're more animalistic than human than what I saw. Just the way it was on the tree, the way it went down the tree, the way the speed of them is amazing. It just took off within seconds. But I believe they have primate in them somehow, but I still ask myself that question. I don't know. I would love to know.
When you said that, I was just about to ask that, because have you ever considered? I mean, like, well, you said yourself that you feel that they're more animalistic than towards a human. I mean, even our known primates got human characteristics.
Yeah.
So, I mean, have you ever considered possibly that they could be an unclassified type of primate that just has not been classified into the animal kingdom?
Yeah.
Possibility.
Yeah.
So I mean,
well, I've thought of like the lost link in the Bible, and I'm thinking, are these creatures not kept? Are they kept like private because of biblical reasons? Logging industries will lose millions of dollars. I don't know. It's like I would love to know what that question is, and I don't know what the theory is, but
right.
I just wonder, why do they hide from humans? What's their fear? Like, why are they so afraid of us? I know they know that we could kill them from a far distance. We have guns, but it's just there's so many questions. I would love to sit with one and go, so tell me, But
they're definitely smart for avoiding this. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, they're surviving that way. That's for sure.
Yeah. I just don't know any animal out there that is afraid of being seen. Like, I don't know if I thought, like, what animal's afraid of being seen? And I can't come up with one. It's just, to me, it's a mystery. Is it because they see our reaction once been sighted, we freeze and freak out? But it's interesting. The Sasquatch that I saw had black solid eyes, and they were almond shaped, and the eyes were huge. And I when I first saw it on the tree, there's a video out there that Barb was recording it, but it made me sad because when I looked at it and we locked eyes, to me it sensed fear, like, oh my God, I've been seen. And then that's when it took off and left, and at that point, when I was thinking of a Sasquatch, I'm thinking of like a 10-foot, 5,000-pound beast or whatever. But I forget that they were young at one point. There are babies at one point, So it was really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I thought it was a good idea that we leave because Mommy and Daddy are probably around. So.
Yeah. Before I ask it, I had a couple questions, but I think I wanted to give Fred a chance again, and Lael. Fred, did you have something else you wanted to throw in there at her? Fred.
Well, yeah. The first one. Yeah, the first one I seen was in '81, and as I told you, it was 5 feet in front of me.
Right.
Now, when I looked at him in the eyes, all I saw was brown, but my feet could not move. I was like concreted to the ground. But when I turned my head away and said, "This is going to hurt," and I turned my head back around, he was walking away. So that told me that he didn't want to. I didn't feel threatened or anything. Now I do know that there are some out there that I call grumpy. That he just flat out don't. There are some, that they don't trust a human. A squash does not trust a human, but they will sit back and watch and see what they're going to do, because we learn from them and they're learning from us too, especially after growing up. So my question to you is, if you had one, like you're walking, say like you and Ed's walking down the trail, and Ed says, "Wait a minute, I see something over here," and he walks over, say like 20 yards to the right of you, and you walk up by another 10 feet, and all of a sudden this squatch steps out in front of you. What do you think your first reaction is going to be?
I think I'm just going to stare at it and like question myself, am I dreaming or is this really happening? Because that's what happens. When I first saw what I saw in Washington, my mind couldn't understand what I was looking at. Like, when you see a possum out in the woods, immediately your brain says possum. Or if you see a squirrel, right away, so, oh, that's a squirrel. So to me, what I would do, I already pictured this happening to me, I would just raise my hands to the side and just let them know I'm come in peace. There's nothing else I could do. I would probably try to observe every single moment that I can of its skin, eyes, teeth, hair, feet, nails, fingers, to learn as much as I can if I can get through that point. But I'm going to tell myself don't let the size intimidate you, because that's really intimidating when they're enormous, and they can. I believe that if they want to get you, they're going to get you, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's not a bullet big enough that will stop it. That's my opinion. It's just my opinion, but.
Yeah, because when I looked him in the eyes, I looked at him from the top of his head down to his feet, and
Yeah.
it was like looking at another human, but, I call it zapped or being burned, I've had my head burned up by them,
Yeah.
because I got
I
too close
remember.
to clean everything. And
Yeah.
have you ever experienced any you just all of a sudden you get like a real a shiver running up your spine. You get this cold feeling, like you start to break out in the sweat. You're like, okay, something is here.
Yeah.
You ever get that?
I've never been zapped like from what people experience to me, but the day we were in Washington, Barb was talking about a log and she had it on film, and at that moment you see my face and I felt something said to me, "You're being watched," and that's when you see me start looking at the wood line and you see it hanging on the tree, and I believe that you should feel or listen to your gut instinct, because most of the time it's right. When I was in the desert the last time I went by myself, I just got there. I was there for about an hour, and something sensed, get out, you need to leave. And I listened to it. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just paranoia of me being by myself, but I decided to leave. I felt like something said to me, get out, you're not welcome. So I left. I left early. I left an hour later. I respect them. I believe that's their home, but I believe in your gut instinct. I believe that when you sense danger, you should listen to your gut instinct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this is my opinion. But,
Have you ever noticed you walk down a trail and you find, like you said, you found a three-toed or
yeah.
two-toed? Did you find any more around that
No,
one footprint?
I was telling them, the guys today, I'm like, it's so weird. The first thing I've noticed is the prints I've found is never in the middle of the path. It's always on the side of the path. And I always find one or two, but never a trackway. I could never find, like, where it's leading to, And in fact, I showed Ed and Kirk today, I showed them the two prints I found last week, and they were both the same size, and they were facing each other. It was kind of weird, but it's weird to me. Like, how is it that you only leave, like, one track or one footprint?
Are
Type
there
thing.
any trees around that area, or just
Any
mostly
what?
any trees, or just mostly sagebrush?
They're mostly brush.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I was told by a friend of mine, and he asked me the same question that I just asked you. I said, yeah, I found plenty of tracks, but you found one, but
Yeah.
where's the rest of them at? He said, look up, look on the trees.
Yeah,
Some-
Kirk told me, he said always look up.
yeah. Well, I just
But the
learned.
trees aren't big enough to hold like 1,000-pound squatch. It's in the desert. I'll send you pictures, Daniel, of what it looks like. But
Okay. Yeah, because I'm curious to check that out.
yeah. So we have woods here where there's enormous trees that are 40 feet high. It's called Big Bear, but not in the desert. There's no big trees. But there's a lot of brush where they can hide, and they're big brushes. So.
Yeah, yeah. Like my area, we got a lot of mountain laurel brush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
A lot
and,
of and pines in some areas.
yeah.
Well, I know
Yeah.
in the area I go to, the pines are very heavy and thick out there. Tall, very tall, big pines. I know this is the East Coast, and I've kind of somewhat did a comparison, because I've never been on the West Coast. I've only seen pictures and videos, and what you see in a lot of movies, because a lot of movies are filmed out that way.
Yeah.
And just in my area, I get that awesome feeling, because not for one thing, there's squatches there. There's no doubt from they're there. You've seen them, you experience them, so forth, whatever. But at the same time, when you're in some of these areas, like, man, I feel like I'm in Northern California or somewhere out in on the Pacific Northwest, because there's parts of it
Yeah,
out there that's like like that. It's like a rainforest out there. I mean,
it is.
the vegetation, the growth is so healthy over here. I mean, we got all the big, heavy, thick green ferns. I mean, a lot of your trees, and down logs covered in green moss, like you would see out west. And
Yeah,
so, I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, everything that we got here, well, everything, the food sources are here, everything. Um, yeah, I mean, but it's just the atmosphere, the environment being out there,
yeah,
you know. But I know it's nothing compared to the West Coast. You
yeah,
got trees you got giants out there. I mean,
yeah,
and that's something I was talking about on one of my little videos I shared, talking about giants. Yeah, I was specifically referring to Bigfoot, but there's other giants. If we look into some of our known species, some of our animals are giants themselves.
yeah.
But, so,
You know
um,
what I think is interesting? I asked Ed yesterday. I'm like, it's amazing how animals sense when they're around. Like horses react to Sasquatch, or like Gabby, like Barb's dog. It's like we just would look at her and you could see her reaction. Her tail would stop moving. She'd stare, and we kind of
mhm,
knew like something's over there, And sure enough, like we'd hear a wood knock in that direction. So it's amazing
absolutely.
how I've heard that they don't like dogs, Sasquatch, but I don't know. But
Uh, Hard to say. I can't really say for sure. Never heard it. I think I've heard that before as well.
yeah,
Of course, dogs, they sense and notice a lot of things. A lot of animals sense and notice. They know there's a predator around sometimes as well. Um, what's the other? Over in the area back 2 years ago, where six of us actually shared an encounter together. I decided to put a trail camera in there. I didn't get nothing but deer. But the one deer in the picture in the snapshot of the trail camera, it had that look. It was looking back further into the woods, like had that froze look, but it was looking like something back there got its attention. If there was
yeah,
people around, and if it was looking at people, and it would have been looking in the other direction, you know, 'cause where it
yeah,
was over on. It was staring right at the ridge, like what was over there. Now, I
yeah.
mean, hey, it could have been a mountain lion because yeah, we do have mountain
Right.
lions here on the East Coast. So I mean, it could have been something. Could have been a bear or something that might have been wandering too close. But something got his attention. But
Yeah.
so
Today was really neat because Kirk Brown has a pit bull, and that dog was really it was really interesting because at the end he wanted to go back to the car. He was like dragging us, like, okay, it's time to go, it's time to go. It was really interesting, but and then Kirk said he's acting kind of funny right now. He's not acting like himself, type thing. So but
now, Claudia, I do have a question on the live chat here. Now the question is, where? Well, the question goes as this. I'm reading it as it says. Where is she going to do where are you going to do research? Or actually, we can start off. Where do you research? You don't get. I mean, I'm gonna, like what me and Fred try not to do. We try not to give off specific, exact
oh
locations. So I mean, if you
oh
kind of give everybody a general idea
yeah.
about whereabouts.
Yeah, I live in Southern California. Where there's Northern and Southern California. I'm about an hour away from Los Angeles, like Hollywood. And I'm really lucky because I have a mountain here called Big.B.R.O, which is a big, huge national forest. And I've been up there, but it's so big I haven't been able to find anything. And I also have the desert, which is about a half an hour from me, and that's where I go. It's actually called the
That's
San
very
Bernardino
interesting.
Mountains. So,
Okay, I've
so
heard of
I'm
them
in
before.
Southern California. I'm by Disneyland, actually. The happiest place on
Nice.
earth. Don't you
Well,
know?
let me ask you now, because I'm not, unless I look at a map or something, but how far are you from the Sierra Mountains out there?
7 hours, 7 to 8 hours.
Oh, okay.
So
So that'd be a good day's
Northern Cal
drive.
Northern California is up. So and I'm down to the Southern California part. And there's not a lot of encounters here in Southern California. Northern California, there's a lot, but not Southern
Okay.
California. So I feel really blessed to have found this place,
Okay.
and so we'll see what happens. But again, I haven't seen a Sasquatch out there, but I've seen interesting bear footprints. Not BEAR, but BARE.
Yeah,
A lot of my
I
friends
got
are
you.
like, bear, like a bear, like a grizzly bear. I'm like, no, like BARE. Like
Yeah,
who's gonna
or
walk
yeah,
around barefoot?
Like
So
humanoid feet, yeah.
yeah. So
Layla has something she wants to share. Go ahead, Layla.
hi, Layla. It's really nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm waiting for her to
Can you
unmute
hear me?
herself.
Oh,
Yeah, she can hear you.
hi. It's so
I'm waiting
nice
for
to meet
her.
you.
Hey, Layla, you're still muted, huh? Uh-oh, she
So,
might be having technical
there
difficulties.
we go.
There she goes.
Hi, Layla.
Hi. Your
It's so
name
nice.
sounded familiar.
Oh,
But I have watched the video of that little one in the tree, and now I put it together
yeah.
because I love Barb and I watch all Barb's stuff.
I love her too. So
So now I can put together that you were the one that was
yeah, in the
standing,
video.
at the moment. And how cool
Yeah.
is that?
Oh my gosh, you know what's funny is like when I went up there, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna see one. I'm just so excited to be with Barb and like to learn from her. But I told myself,
I
oh no, like it's like a blessing if you get a sighting. And it was so neat because I got to experience like every Sasquatch possibility there is, you know. So it was I was so honored. I felt so grateful, you know. And
I agree.
I got to,
I
yeah.
agree. I'd have been thrilled just to spend time with Barb.
Oh, it was like
And to,
everything. She is.
and
I have
have
to
to
say,
see something on top of that would just be icing on the cake.
yeah. You know, she's very honest, very kind, very smart. You know, just nothing but great things about her. So very selfless
Um,
person.
I've sat in on a show or two. Daniel, seems like Fred had her on a show, and then Daniel had her on a show. So I've
Yeah.
got to talk to her, at least in this format, a couple of times, and Sam also. And I
I
feel
love Sam.
privileged just to do that, even over, the internet.
Yeah.
But it's great to meet you. And I had a
Oh.
question earlier, and it left my mind.
Oh.
When I
Okay.
when I think of it, I'll come back. But it's
Okay. That
great.
sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you too.
Yeah, just let us know when you got if you got another question, Layla. I'm gonna jump to our next question. We got a question. The viewers watching, we got questions on the live chat popping up.
Okay.
Um, and the next question in line. Um, how long have you been doing research?
You know, it's so funny. I'm like, I told Ed, I'm not a researcher. I just love like Sasquatch stuff, you know. But I started 5 years ago. When I had what happened was when I was like, 20 years old, I went up to Yosemite National Park and we hiked up a mountain called Upper Falls. I knew nothing about Sasquatch, and we were young kids, and in the middle of the night we camped out and there was no one. It was like dry camping, and I heard the most scariest growl of my entire life. We all sat up and were like, oh my god, like a bear is right next to our tent. And my friend had granola bars in his tent, and I whispered to him like, granola bars are in the tent, like the bear was going to get in the tent to get the granola bars. So he very slowly unzipped the tent, and then I had the flashlight. My other friend was praying the whole time, like, please don't let us be somebody's dinner tonight, like. And so my other friend and he grabbed the box of granola bars and he chucked it as far as he could away from the tent. So as soon as we did that, we zipped it up really quick, like it was going to protect us. But within about 20 seconds or so, we unzipped the tent, and then I got the flashlight and I started low just to find the bear. And what I saw was this walking bear walking into the wood line, and we were like looking at each other thinking like, oh my god, the bear's walking on two legs, but it was huge. And the next morning, I mean, we didn't sleep the entire night. We were so scared. As soon as daylight hit, we left. we looked all over for the granola bars. We couldn't find the box at all. But that moment changed my life, and I thought, and I was so young and insecure. Like I would tell somebody, like we saw something really weird in Yosemite, but people have sightings and don't know who to call or who to talk to about it. So that's why I like finding Bigfoot, because it kind of tells people there's a website for things like that.
Oh yeah.
But once I got to be an adult, I had kids, I was married. I thought, you know what? I'm pretty confident. I'm not scared of what people think about me anymore. Who cares? Like if they don't like me, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna start researching this, and that's when I started getting on YouTube and started putting Bigfoot stuff in, and I got to meet like so many awesome people. I love every single researcher I've ever met. So I believe they all have a beautiful gift, and I'm so grateful to all of them. And then I met Barb Sheepy, and she invited me to her area, and that's when I had the encounter. And I was so, I felt honored because, a lot of people don't want to give away where they're at. They kind of want to keep it private and stuff. And she was so selfless, and she's like, come up, hang out with me. And I went up there, and then it was a great experience. So now I told Ed, I was thinking, like, I'm almost feeling, like, addicted to, like, Sasquatch, and it's addicting. Like, I want answers so bad. And, right now I'm blessed to have enough time where I can go and get answers and travel. And I just, I want to learn as much as I can. And my biggest goal is to tell everybody out there, if you have an encounter, share it with somebody. Call the Bigfoot Research Organization. Find a researcher you like on YouTube, contact them, and please, like, don't be ashamed of what you've seen, because you're not crazy. So, and also, I want to keep them protected. I don't want any harm to them. With that being said,
right, exactly, and I agree. And with what you just said, as far as, if people, they see something, and that's part of what, I speak about is, bringing out awareness, both the skeptic, the non, the believers, knowers, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
There's people out there that haven't shared nothing, but they want to.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to promote myself as far as say this is what I am and this is what I do. I get people staring at my vehicle all the time. I got my Blazer all decaled up. I got professional decals on there. So I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, I walked out of a restaurant with my daughter, and there's a family all staring. They're right there on the back of my Blazer, staring, looking at my, my, big giant decal on my rear window of my Blazer. So, and I walked up there, and I was like, "Yep, that's me."
Yeah.
And it was cool because the mother was telling her kids, "He looks for Bigfoot," which was cool.
That is cool.
So, but I've had people question me before about it. Like really, I was in the drive-through somewhere, and the guy was like, "Really? Is that what you do?" I said, "Yeah." I'm not afraid to tell people. I mean, I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not afraid of its criticism, ridicule. I've dealt with all of it.
Yeah.
But it's gonna reach the right people.
Yeah.
So eventually. So and then you got the word of mouth that gets spread around too. So.
Yeah.
So,
what's hard about living here in LA is that, like, nobody ever even thinks or talks about Sasquatch, but, like, I've talked to my friends that aren't into Sasquatch, they're just my friends that don't know much about this side of me, but when you talk about Sasquatch here in LA, they're like, are you taking medication, hon? It's like, seriously. And I tell them, no, like, if you experienced it and you saw one, you would be fascinated as well, and when I went to Washington and you would talk about Sasquatch, they're like, oh, where was your sighting at? So it's all different parts of the world, I think, that are more accepted than others, So,
yeah. You got open minds, closed minds, and you got people that are, even if you've never seen anything, if people are, if they're interested in the subject for one thing, then, I mean, that goes to show that they're curious. And if they're curious, they're going to want to pursue and investigate for themselves. That's part of what started with me. I mean, it's like, I never did say I wasn't a believer, but, it's just, I guess Bigfoot was always in the back of my mind. So, something made me just, go investigate it and wanting to get into it. And when I started finding evidence on my own, it blew my mind. I was like,
it did.
This is awesome. I kept going at it, and the more I went at it, the more results popped up left and right. And it's awesome,
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I first started doing my research area up here where I'm at now, I had bear hunters telling me, "Oh, you're the guy that they started messing with me." Then all of a sudden they're believing me because I say, "You lost a dog?" Yeah. I said, "Did you find the collar?" Yeah. I said, "Was it cut or was it ripped off?" He said, "Ripped? How'd you know?" I said, "That's a Sasquatch."
Yeah.
And then now these guys, if they're up there and got someone new, they say, "Hey, there's the Bigfoot hunter." That's what I hear.
Yeah. That's cool.
And I tell people, I look for Bigfoot. Well, how come you never see them? I said they were born, raised, and taught to study the humans, but be elusive.
Right.
Yeah, now I got juveniles, that do a good job at hiding, but what I say, they're at their finest when they mess up.
Yeah.
Just little tedious things, that they like. I got one to my uh, left about 8 feet. I'm panning right to left, and he steps from left to right.
Yeah.
But I over zoomed on him.
Yeah.
But I didn't know I had him on him.
Yeah.
But they're learning about us, and if people would learn to, when they go in the woods, there's the first thing you need to do is learn about the critters in your area.
Yeah.
Birds, listen to their sounds, understand the sounds and everything. Then after you do that, then, like, good example, a dove. You know how a dove has got a certain note that even humans can't hit?
Yeah.
Okay, a Sasquatch is the same way. There's that one particular note, and when they start doing that, and you start listening, like okay, then you'll know that they're somewhere around you checking you out.
Yeah.
That's why when I
You
go
know
out,
what's funny is we were in Washington, and we were away from the river, like miles and miles from a river, and all of a sudden, right across, like, we see a structure, and then right across the path, we hear, like, literally a frog with bronchitis, and it was loud. Like, oh my God, there's like a frog with bronchitis, really big frog, We were laughing, and then we heard like rock clacking, so we knew it wasn't a frog. It's amazing how they mimic, So
yeah.
I agree with you, Fred. Absolutely. So.
But it teaches you something, because I started hearing the doves, and at first, I was like, yeah, there's a couple of doves, but then all of a sudden it started following me.
Oh.
Then you're like, okay, and then they'll go so far and they'll go dead silent, and all of a sudden you'll hear rock clacking, tap tap, and that's all you hear. You
Yeah.
won't hear nothing else, and it makes you think, But every time
Yeah.
they do that, it teaches you
Yeah.
and everything.
And I've learned to be smart too, because I've seen like other researchers out there where, like Mitchell Waite, I loved him so much. He heard whistles, and he would get closer to the whistles, and then the whistles would go higher up the mountain, and Mitch would follow. And then he started thinking, like, you know what, this could be an ambush area. They're trying to get me to a certain spot, He's like, I'm going back down the mountain, and then he would go down the mountain, and they would start whistling closer to him. So it's really interesting how they have the hunting. It's amazing. They're very intelligent. Very intelligent. So.
Now, I have a theory about whistles. I mean, I've just from the very few I've experienced, but one in particular wasn't all too long ago.
Oh.
In the area where I found my large tracks. Well, when I was first in this area, I discovered some 16-inch tracks. Well, when I was walking into the area, before I was walking back in with my plaster material to go plastic track. Well, over to my right, I had a loud, sharp whistle. And I looked over there. I stopped in my tracks to look over there. I said, man, that was loud and hard, But, I didn't see nothing, and so I kind of blew it off as some kind of bird, But then I kept walking, and as I got closer, I had a loud tree knock on the other side of the logging road that I was on. And it was all thick. It's laurel brush, pine. It's so. I believe it could have been a distraction or a communication. Say, hey, he's here.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. I believe it could have been a distraction or a communication. Notice.
I do.
So.
Fred
But that's not
told
proven.
me
I mean, that's my
something-
theory. So it
Yeah,
could be something.
of
It could be
course.
something totally different.
Of course. But you have the right to your opinion, and Fred told me a couple years ago. He said, like, if you ever
Oh,
have
go
a
ahead.
rock.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, hon. Fred told me a couple of years ago. I was on the phone with him, and he said to me, if you ever have a rock thrown at you, don't look at the direction where the rock is coming from. Look at the other direction. So I'm always like thinking, the moment I get hit by a rock again, because that was in Washington, it was thrown at us. Not hit personally, but I want to look in the other direction, not where the rock is coming from, to see if they're trying to distract from one moving. So I have that in mind, Fred. I remember you telling me that a couple of years ago. So I still remember everything you've taught me.
Well, that's good.
So
I mean, because anybody who could, anybody, who can teach you, all you do is take what they have, combine it with what you learn from me and Daniel and everybody else,
yeah,
and that makes you smarter and more knowledgeable.
yeah,
And after a few years, after 5 or 10 years, you're like, it's all comes natural to you. You
yeah,
go in there, you hear that, you say, okay, now could it be this, could it be that? Then you listen a little bit harder. But
yeah,
when you go in the area, open your senses up,
yeah,
and that right there will blow your socks off.
yeah. I believe it.
But there is a big difference between the mountains and the desert.
Yeah,
Because if I come down there, up there to your area, I would have to be taught all over again about your area.
yeah,
And if you come over here, I have to teach you about my area. But combined both together, you got an awesome combination.
yeah. You do. You do. It's amazing. Thank you for everything you guys have done for your teachings. We lost Daniel, I think.
No, he wants me to take over for a few minutes.
Oh,
He
okay.
just messaged me. Yeah, but what people don't realize, Sasquatches are, God knows, extremely intelligent.
Yes, I
They would
agree.
they would teach you everything. Now, since you and Ed went out today, what have you learned?
It's really interesting. There's a set of 3 tires, well 4, where I go, and I picked up the tires today to stack them to see if they would move. There is
Hmm.
human activity there. There's like people on motorcycles and I'm sure jumping over the tires. But I picked
Yeah,
up the tires, and immediately both of them said, like, Claudia, there's like rattlesnakes. I'm sure there's rattlesnakes inside the tires. So, like, to me, they taught me be really careful with every single decision you do, to be very careful, because I never thought, oh, there's a rattlesnake in the tires. They're pretty much, the tires aren't, it's closed. The tires are closed, so you can't see what's inside the rubber. But they really taught me a huge lesson, today.
oh yeah,
So that was one of the big. Kurt Brown also taught me, and Ed, when I see a footprint, to look at all angles of the footprint, not just, don't stand in one section and look at a footprint. Move around the footprint and look for possible, anything you could find, And
exactly.
he taught me about, we found a branch
Yeah,
that was twisted, and he was teaching me about the wood and how it was twisted and manipulated. So
right.
it was great.
Yeah.
I learned a lot today.
Now I tell you, if you wanna get a little more smarter on tracks, uh, get a book of the animals in your area
Yeah.
and
We
study
found
them.
mountain lion. We found mountain lion tracks today, bear tracks, coyotes. What else? Is that it? Yeah. And Bigfoot.
Ah,
So,
Bigfoot, the magic word.
yeah, so it was really neat.
now,
Yeah. But if you
So,
take and study all them tracks,
so
go ahead, Daniel.
go ahead, Fred.
No, I'm
Oh
done.
no,
I'm
I was
done.
just gonna ask. Okay, I was just asking because some of the pictures I've seen on her timeline on Facebook, she had some very massive sized tracks on there. They were under some of your like featured photos that were on your main timeline without actually going through your actual photos, and I thought they were very cool. Now some of the
thank you.
tracks you found, I mean, are they in the excuse me, general area that you've been that you normally go in?
Yeah. There's a couple from Washington, but the recent posts that I put up are from the desert area where I'm at. So, but I have to tell everybody I haven't seen a Sasquatch there. I can't say 100% if that's a Sasquatch print, but I mean, I don't see what else is big out there and walks barefoot, but I have to be fair and say I haven't seen one out there, but the signs that I'm looking at, it's interesting, I'm still a devil's advocate with what I find. So I don't always want to jump to the first conclusion and say, oh, there's Bigfoot out here, and I have to be careful with that because I get excited. I want it to be like that.
I
So,
put my hand down and I got like stabbed.
Awesome. Now what's the biggest
yeah,
Bigfoot track you've ever found?
Ed, what did you say?
I, I was just saying that there's one good correlation to the footprints that she's finding that are barefoot footprints, because today when I've been down to look at one, and I'm not familiar with the desert, this is all new to me, but when I put my hand down on the ground, I felt like glass going in my fingers. So it wouldn't make sense even for a person to be walking around barefoot out there. That's what I was asking her. Say, make sure you make that point, because that's a good correlation between the bare footprints, the BARE footprints, and of course other animals. Because whatever it is, a person is not going to walk on that, because I cut my fingers just kneeling down. So I'll give it back to her. That's all I wanted to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I was telling Claudia about. I have to learn all over again if I go out to the desert.
Yeah.
Because it's totally dead. Now, but what he says is true. When I used to be a truck driver, you put your hand on that sand, it's like glass.
Yeah.
So you have to have very, very, very tough feet.
Tough skin
Tough feet. Calluses, yeah.
Yeah, calluses out the yin yang. So, yeah.
Now, what's the biggest Sasquatch Bigfoot track you've ever come across or found?
Well, I haven't brought a measuring tape yet to measure them. I got one, but I forgot to bring it today. But in Washington State, it was 16 inches, 7 inches wide. So
nice.
It was pretty big. And it's neat because it's amazing. I saw a footprint, and it went up like the steep mountain, and I could just picture them. It's so easy for them to just jump over something so steep. It's amazing. So.
All right, I got another question here. Now, as far as every time, anytime ever being out there, you shared about a couple of your camping experiences. Have you ever experienced any smells during these encounters?
That's one thing I have not smelled. I haven't smelled anything unusual. No smells. When I was with Barb at that point a year and a half ago, I asked her, "Do you ever smell them?" And she goes, "No, I've never." But it's changed now for her. But I haven't smelled anything. Yeah. No smell yet. So. I
mean, because some people say they do. I mean, considering how close I've actually been to, I never experienced any smells. Now, I have been in the woods and smelled some odd, strange, rotten, stinky smells. I mean, and I've been with Fred, and we smelled the smell of fresh, strong urine. Oh, yeah. I mean, that could be related to a few other animals in the woods as well. But yeah, it's I've talked to people that go hiking, and I've asked them questions like that, and they're like, "Well, walking to this one area headed towards a waterfall, I have smelt the smell of something dead, rotten, but mixed with combined with the smell of like manure or something, but dead and rotten at the same time." I said, "That's interesting," and that's over on the other end of Fred's area.
Oh.
And Fred, actually, this is okay. He's gonna get coffee. All right. Okay. But yeah, okay. I was just curious on that. Well, one thing I want to state, I know you guys saw me I know you probably didn't see me because your phone's facing the other way. Sometimes I have technical issues where I froze and I'll disappear and I have to log back in. So.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. So since your camera's facing you, you probably didn't see me disappear.
No worries. No worries.
Okay.
So thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. So how often do you get the chance to get out there and do your exploring?
Well, now I don't go by myself, but I have friends now that want to come and join me, which is good.
Right.
So my goal is to do it once a week. So I've been going once a week out there. So I just moved near the mountains, so I just started going about 6 to 8 blocks from my house. And I went and hiked about 6-7 miles and didn't see anything Sasquatch related that I found, But so I'm gonna keep exploring different areas, I've noticed like either social media is like getting really big where people are talking more. But I was talking to a friend of mine and I'm like, doesn't it seem like Sasquatch population is so much more than I've ever heard? It seems like they're everywhere, all over the world, I also want to tell you guys, if you don't mind, there's going to be a wonderful conference. It's the International Conference in September in Washington, and it's going to be great speakers, and I hope that you guys can make it. It's going to be a really good time, and it'll be fun. But it's going to be an international conference, which I think is really neat to meet people from all over the world. And Ed Brown and putting it together. So.
Well, there's one problem. There's one problem with me.
Okay.
There's one problem with me about doing that.
Yeah.
I'm scared to fly.
Oh, Fred, you're with 1,200-pound creatures. Come on, you could do it.
No, it's that sudden stop I don't like.
Oh, well, there is trains and buses.
Well,
I drove 14,000 miles.
oh, that's a lot of layovers.
Ed has a new business.
I've taken a bus to Pennsylvania and Massachusetts. That's a long travel on a bus. So.
But it's going to be a fun time. Great speakers there. So I wanted to tell.
Okay. Well, what's the date on that? Just for our viewers, for anyone that can make that or interested in trying to attend that.
It's September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and it's going to be in Washington, and it's just going to be a really great time. There's also on the website of if different prices of hotels and a lot of information on the website. You could find it on Ed Brown's website. I even have a couple of things on my page on Facebook that we would be happy to send any information to anyone who's interested. So, sorry, a quick shout out. It's going to be fun. I want people to go. So.
No, actually, I appreciate that. That's actually good. We definitely we like shout outs and any kind of information for events that you want to share that we may not be aware of. Which I was aware of that one. Is just being way out here. I definitely can't do it. All my vacation time is actually set for squatching. So that's what I do.
Well, there's next year, so maybe next year you can join.
Yeah, pretty much. Now. Well, yeah, you're right. Because I know Fred's been wanting to get out there to different parts of California. I know he's been invited to come out and give or take. There's a few areas I wouldn't mind visiting myself.
Yeah, of course.
I like to get out there so I can say, yeah, I've been to the West Coast. So.
Yeah.
Unless my friend Mike from New York goes to visit his sister. His sister lives somewhere out there in some big fancy. Okay.
So.
Yeah, because over here I know a lot of people are very familiar with the Ohio Bigfoot.
Yes. That's a good conference, too. Very good conference.
Yeah, that's the 14th of this month. 14th of next month. Yeah. If I had the money, I'd go.
It's nice to meet other people, It's nice to talk about people's experiences, their knowledge and stuff. I like it. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So what are your plans on furthering your education on squatching? What's your plans on that?
Keep watching all of your wonderful channels on YouTube, and I really want to go see Barb Shupe again. So I'm hoping to go in a couple weeks to Washington State, and then just continue doing my area and just learn. And I'm excited about the conference too in September. So those are my goals for this year. So it'll be fun.
Well, you're going to get your brains blowed out up there at the conference. I know you are.
Yeah. I can't wait to meet people. It's going to be fun. So, it's nice to meet people online, but it'll be fun to meet them in person, and get to know them.
Yeah,
so.
We'll be like a sponge and suck it all in.
Oh, I will.
That's
I
knowledge,
will, definitely.
That's knowledge. Yeah.
but
have you ever planned on when you find the right track? Do you take any plaster out with you to like do footprints and stuff?
I have in the past, but I'm going to start taking it. I've learned how to because if I find that three-toed print again, I have to cast it. So and the next time I go up there, if I find another print, I'm gonna cast it. So Kurt Brown offered me some quick casting material, so.
Okay,
I'm gonna.
All right, here's a little trick you need to do. Go to the store and get you a can of Plain Jane hairspray.
Oh yes.
Spray the print.
Yeah.
Because I've heard in sand or certain moisture in sand that you sometimes you can and sometimes you won't get dermal ridges.
Yeah.
Besides, the spray keeps the excess dirt and everything off the track, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Definitely good to do it. I love collecting cast prints. So I have one from Washington of the sighting we had. We went back the next day where it happened and we found prints. So I was able to cast it, bring it home. So it was nice. So
Cool.
and then I also
Cool.
I found a bear print and I like a BEAR, like a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
And people would I would show them like the print of the Bigfoot and they're like, it's a bear print. I'm like, no, it's a Bigfoot print. And they're like, no, it's a bear print. So now I have two of them to show them the difference of a bear print and a Bigfoot print, So
yeah. Do you
it's been
ever
fun.
when you look at a track, let's say you look at a bear track, or you look at a track, it looks like a bear track, but yeah, it looks like a squash track. Do you look for the claw marks, the middle
Yeah,
of the
I
footprint?
actually Ed and Kirk taught me that today. So I'm looking for the claw, So
Yeah. I've learned, me personally, what I've learned is, like, remember, when a human walks, we bounce up and down. When we run, we bounce up and down. But when a squash walks, you can put a level on her head, and that level will not move. That bubble will stay dead center
yeah,
because they don't straighten their legs up. And think about that when you don't straighten your legs up. Think about how that print's laid.
yeah,
Because how we walk heel to toe.
yeah,
A squash does that, but with their legs being stayed bent, it gives them more level and they can
right.
walk quieter. And that's something that
It's
I'm
very interesting.
learning.
Yeah,
You can find the same track 5 times, and each time you cast it and look at it, there'll be something different in that track.
yeah. I want to learn more about fingerprints and dermal ridges. And before Mitch Wade passed away, he told me about, our fingerprints have like little squiggly lines around our fingerprints, but what he's noticed is that their prints are straight up and down. They're not like ours. So,
Yeah. Now, what I've learned to do, like, I have a tendency to set out peanut butter jars, okay, with the lids on.
me too, yeah.
Little trick you can do before you pull that uh, plastic off the top of the jar.
Yeah,
Take your gloves, put your fingers on the inside of the jar, inside the lid, and
yeah.
wipe it down with rubbing alcohol. Then put the lid back on. If you want to do,
Oh,
if you want to learn about fingerprints, because when you rub it down with alcohol, it takes all the human prints and everything
yeah.
off of it, and then you got just their prints.
Oh, I'm going to try that. Thank you.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
I've tried it, but I don't know how to do the fingerprint thing, because if I go to the Waynesboro Police Department, they're gonna are you nuts or what? So I don't
You
know.
can order it online, like the print, so you could see the prints and stuff. I've heard. So,
Oh, okay.
I have a question, Fred.
All right, go ahead, Leo.
Um, Claudia, were you on the same camp out where the handprints were left on? I think it was Sam's
Sam. It
truck.
was Sam's car. No, they were in the Blue Mountains when they found those prints. So it was Sam and Barb who went to the Blue Mountains and they found the prints
Okay.
in Sam's car. So, yeah.
Cool. Now,
That's kind of intimidating.
Um,
You imagine being in your car at night, sleeping, and then waking up and seeing a Bigfoot like looking at you. It's a little scary.
yeah.
So-
I'd rather be in a car.
Say what, Leo?
I said I'd rather be in the car than a tent.
I know.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
Yeah. Have you ever had anybody ask you, Claudia? Have you ever had a squatch run out in front of you, across the road in
No.
front of you before?
No, I wish I did, but I don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 'cause people keep asking me. The only time I've had that happen was he come out of the woods on the right side on all fours. And when he stood up, his coat looked like a Labrador Retriever. It was so shiny, well groomed, but he looked like he had a 12 pack. But what
Oh,
makes them,
wow.
but what makes them look funny is their big feet.
Yeah.
And that's something I've noticed. And when I got out to approach this squatch, it was about 6 foot tall. Then I realized how fast they can run.
Yeah. Oh, they're so fast. I was like, wow. Unbelievable fast. So,
But that's a good thing. They're, my opinion, they're human hybrid mixed with a hominin. And I believe if we find out what the hominin is, we have what the squatch is. And that's why I say, me personally, I think that, the government already knows what they are.
yeah.
They're just not releasing information due to all the controversy. And like another guy said, they would have to rewrite history
Yeah.
to a point, you know. And whenever I see a squatch, it's like, I look at him, the way I am, I look at him, I'll see him, I'll throw my hand up, hey, how you. If they throw a rock, I'll pick the rock up and say, hey, you dropped this. I do off the wall stuff, so I get pretty good reaction, when I'm by myself. 90% of stuff happens when you're by yourself.
I know. I noticed that about you. I like the
And
way you start singing, Fred.
what?
You start sensing them and you start singing. I noticed that about you. I'm like, he's singing. There must be close.
Well, yeah,
So,
but I do that for another reason too.
what's the
It's
other reason? To work on your vocal cords?
no. Sometimes when a big boy is around, I will feel. I will have a chill go up my spine. It makes me wiggle. You know,
Yeah,
so
I
so
bet.
I, I start to sing and everything. But I keep looking around and everything. And as you notice, 80% of the time I say they're right over there. That's where they're at. I don't know
Yeah,
why. But in the mountains, they could stand right there in front of you behind the laurel brush. You'd never see them.
I know.
And I can imagine now in Texas at a professional hunting bow ranch. I've talked to the guy. He's got it on video. He says, "I'm gonna show y'all something. I don't know what it is, and I'm not gonna say what it is." And it shows where it wasn't no more than 4.5, 5 foot tall, but it started walking front and stopping. You could see from the center of his chest over to his whole left side, his arm and all. You know,
Yeah.
but he was he was he was in the open, and all of a sudden he disappeared.
He disappeared into the
And
brush, or?
yeah, he just appeared. So out there in the desert, I assume that their color, their coat matches the surroundings
Yeah.
and everything. But it's kind of weird how they do it there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get
singing,
behind something.
singing. Yeah, I get a little nervous. But sometimes I get bored, and I do it just for the hell of it, because one way or
I like
another,
it.
I'm gonna
It's
get a
fun.
response.
Yeah.
Ah,
I remember a video where you were being followed, and you actually videotaped. You could see one like by a tree, and I remember like listening to you sing, and that's really good that you calm yourself down, because it's really intimidating, to say the least. But so
yeah. But I a good researcher would try everything off the wall. The more goofy you are, the more responses you'll get if they're around.
well, that's a good
You
thing for
know,
me.
yeah. Just go out. Just go out. Like yeah, have Ed with but let him go ahead of you or behind you, whatever. And just do some off the wall stuff.
Yeah.
And if they're around, because for some reason they're drawn to a female 10 times faster than a male.
Yeah, I heard that. So
And you being a girl, yeah, you ought to get some good responses.
yeah.
So that's what I'm waiting on from you. I want to see you out in the field recording and
Okay.
doing off the wall stuff. Hell,
Okay.
e-
I'm
hell,
going
even
to.
get Ed out there to do some off the wall stuff.
Okay. I might
No.
start my own YouTube channel. I'm thinking about it, so it'll be fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
But
All
I
right.
want to say thank you to all of you guys for everything. So it's an honor to be talking to you. And thank you for your time and your teachings.
It was
So
nice to meet you, Paul.
what was that? I'm sorry, Lila.
I said it was nice to meet you.
It was really nice to meet you too. Thank you for being on here, and I've enjoyed talking to you guys on Friday nights. It's been fun. So
Thank you.
thank
Enjoyed it.
you. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Fred, for everything. And please stay
Awesome.
safe.
I'm
I
just
pray
a
for all of
co.
you guys.
I'm just a co-host tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, both of you.
Oh, thanks for
Everybody.
being on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry
No,
I kept disappearing.
no, don't be sorry. It's.
Yeah, I had technical issues,
I know.
difficulties.
Don't know.
But yeah,
Don't worry.
I'm glad you were able to be on. It was great having you on.
Thank
And,
you. Thank you. It was fun. I really
so
enjoyed
hopefully,
it.
maybe in the future we'll get you on again.
Oh, anytime.
Absolutely, you were
It's fun.
great.
I love it. So, thank you
Thank
guys,
you
and God
very
bless
much,
you.
and God bless.
Okay, Ed's saying hi and bye and thank you right here. So, thank you
All
guys.
right.
Okay,
All right.
take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm.
All right. Well, there you go.
He
Have it.
was a
All
nice
right.
person.
Thank you again.
Sorry.
Bye, Ed.
The unbutton.
Oh, you're back. I didn't realize.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
There she goes. Yeah,
Name
I kept disappearing. I don't know.
that
I'm glad she came on tonight. That was awesome.
yeah, I didn't realize she was the one with Barb when the little one, uh, with the video of the little one that was cloaking, not cloaking, whatever. And how cool was that? And she seemed nice and sweet as she could be.
Right.
Very like.
Yeah. That's yeah. Yeah. Before I kept getting cut off, I mean disconnected. There was one more question I was going to ask her. Yeah, out of curiosity, I was going to ask her if she ever thought of forming a group in her area. So um, but I'll tell
Well,
you what we're going to do.
yeah.
Before I have any more technical difficulties, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the live broadcast. Um, and for viewers, if you're new, if you have not subscribed, and you want to continue to follow the research that I do post on here, as well as the podcast shows, go ahead subscribe. And if you guys have any questions for either one of us, you can contact me on Facebook. Find and like the
He
Facebook
froze up
pages,
again.
Valley Bigfoot, and I'm not okay. I'm not sure about our next show. Of course, sometimes I post them per day. I don't know. We'll play that one by ear. But our next guest will be one of our guests. Like I made the announcement last night. May 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yep, and that will be Kenneth Jaluski. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out. So anyone, yeah, feel free if you haven't done so. I have a lot of videos and podcasts. Some people are there's a lot of new people on here, so I want to just let them know. Feel free to browse through what you're watching. If you haven't get to watch the whole thing, it'll be as soon as I stop the broadcast. It'll actually go into archives with the rest of my videos. And the same thing on Fred's YouTube channel. Freddy59100 is the name of his YouTube channel. Fred Canny also has podcast shows, and he has a lot of his research and his field videos that he shares. So definitely check that out. And again, any questions, just ask us. And thank you guys for tuning in this Friday night. Right now, I'm going to watch Harry and the Hendersons that's recorded. I haven't watched that in a long time. And I'm getting up to go hunting in the morning, and I'll do my Bigfooting throughout the weekend. So anyway, everyone, God bless, and we'll see you soon.
Later, later, later.